Okay. So welcome everyone to our monthly Collaberex workshop. I am very happy that I was able to twist Bob's arm to get him to
You didn't really have
present.
to twist.
It was a little twist, maybe. Nudge. I don't know. So, the topic of today's workshop is why salespeople fail and what to do about it. So, just to give you a brief intro and read off part of Bob's bio, he's a seasoned expert in Salesforce development and training and brings over 22 years of experience to the table. I think it's probably more than that, but you were just toning it down.
Right.
He's a former managing partner of S&R Sales Development, a licensed Sandler training company, and throughout his career, he's worked with a lot of different size clientele, ranging from Fortune 1000 to startups and individuals. And right now, he's a consultant with Sandler Global Training, and he focuses on helping large international corporations enhance their sales management processes, training, and Salesforce development. Bob, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me. I love doing this stuff. This is going to be fun, and we've got a small group, so it can be pretty personalized. But so just before I even begin, I know obviously Jonathan, what you and Susanna do. So David Haas, what's actually your job? Tell me what you do, so I can kind of personalize this a little bit.
I'm a financial planner.
Enough said. Got it. Okay. Okay, Dave Curley, how about you?
I am in the sales space in technology, so mainly MSPs, but also some software as a service companies I work with.
MSPs. Okay, cool. And Deirdre,
Staffing service.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Staffing service?
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. I've been on some calls with you. But that's cool. Very cool. Okay, so obviously, with a small group, we can make this. I was going to make it interactive anyway, but let's make it really interactive. So, do not put yourselves on mute. Keep your mics open. Interrupt at any particular moment that you want to. Ask questions, make comments. If you think what I'm saying is ridiculous, please tell me, and I'll convince you that it's not ridiculous. No, I'll just we'll just figure that out, and that's the deal. So I want to start by just asking this question: why do people buy from you? What is your actual differentiator in your marketplace? Now, obviously, it's going to be different for everybody, and I don't even think that there's a need, Jonathan, to break this into a group since we have into groups since we have small groups.
Yeah.
Just throw out some reasons why people actually buy from you. What makes you different than everybody else? Deirdre, start with you. What just anything, whatever comes to mind.
Well, I just was initially thinking they have a need. They need to hire someone. And my differentiator may be, that's the challenge I'm here, but my differentiator may be that, we have something that they don't. We have the talent that they need, that they're unable to get, that we have access to.
Okay, so you have some sort of product, I mean, put it in generic terms, a product or a service or an asset that they need that nobody else has. So your differentiator is you may be niched into what they need. Am I getting that right?
I hope so, yes.
I hope so. Okay. Dave Curley, what about you? What's your differentiator? Why do people actually buy from you?
So let me speak as Dave Curley, then, not as representing of the client. I'm fairly new to selling myself, so I'm trying to figure part of that out. So one of the
Okay.
reasons why I'm here, I believe I have a different approach to sales, especially in the industries I work with, because I think they've been tied to old tactics for too long, and I've seen how they're not working as well as the. So more of a fresh approach to how to differentiate yourself is what I bring to the table.
Okay. All right. Cool. David Haas, how about you?
Well, ignoring exactly what I'm selling, I'm going to say people buy from me because they trust me. And that trust is difficult. It's the most difficult thing to get. to have somebody switch from being a prospect to a client.
How do you, that's very interesting. It's kind of direct the direction I'm going. What do you do to get people to trust you?
Um, Usually I sell through education, but often the people who become my clients because of a referral. Not necessarily, it's not necessarily a referral from existing clients, so it could be a referral from almost anybody, but that's a referral seems to almost be necessary for trust.
Okay. And that personal
Personal
connection.
recommendation.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. Okay.
So although
Susanna, what about you?
I spend
Oh, I'm sorry.
dollars on marketing,
Uh-huh.
sometimes I feel like what I'm marketing is people who can refer me rather than directly to potential
Well,
clients.
actually, that's a really viable way to market. It is. Susanna, what about you? How do you
So
differentiate yourself?
I focus on providing information, education. So whether I'm presenting information or I'm teaching something in a, through my marketing, or I'm just having like a one-on-one call with someone, I just give them all the information they need. So that makes them feel they can trust me because I've been providing the information they've been looking for. So they feel more comfortable making the sale.
Okay. So you're establishing credibility because you're knowledgeable and you're letting them know that.
Yeah.
Does it ever happen, Susanna, that they take that information and kind of disappear?
All the time.
Okay, and what do you think they're doing when they're disappearing?
They're either taking what I taught them and using someone less expensive, or they're just doing it themselves. But it doesn't matter to me because if that's the kind of person they are, I don't want to work with them.
That's cool. But you're basically doing unpaid consulting, is what it sounds like.
In the form of like when I give a presentation, it's very full of information. So I don't consider that consulting. I'm just giving information through my newsletters, through
Okay,
marketing vehicles.
okay.
Um,
But you are giving them the ability to shop more efficiently.
Probably.
Okay, okay. Cool. Not cool. But okay, got it. Jonathan, what about you? What is you're selling Collaberex, obviously, and it is a different kind of product and a different service, so that's sort of built into it. But why do they buy from you?
Yeah, I mean, we even our messaging is we call ourselves an alternative business community. So we're telling them
Okay,
right up that we are different. So, but what we're really selling is we're selling a feeling. We're selling community. We're selling someone that wants a sense of belonging. We're selling someone that looking for support and strategic partners and help and not someone we're not I don't think we're so much solving someone's pain, but we're looking for people that want to get better, that want to always improve and are willing to know that ways to improve is both external and internal, that they have to look
okay.
inside. Yeah.
So what you've put your finger on is a really important component of everything we're going to talk about today, and that is the emotional part of the sale. You are taking the emotional approach, and I'm going to show you how valuable that is. But I guess an equally important question is why do people not buy from you? When you do not get a sale, what happened?
Oh,
Where's the
I think
screw
that,
up?
yeah, I think that's easy for me.
Yeah,
I
what is
think
it?
fear. I
Fear?
think, yeah, I think people, if we're talking about, we're like in their face. We're saying, look inside, look at yourself, improve yourself. And they're
Mhm.
thinking, yeah, I don't want to do that. That's too uncomfortable. I don't need to do that. I think I just need to make more cold calls. They look
Okay.
at the traditional way of doing things that's more transactional and more surface level strategies than
So it
digital.
seems that that are saying that or acting that way are choosing to stay in their comfort zone versus leaving their comfort zone, because leaving their
Completely.
comfort zone means work and money and change and all that scary
And
stuff.
unknown. They don't like
The
the unknown.
unknown.
Yeah,
Right.
I would say my biggest competitor is the status quo.
Right. Comfort zone also. Yeah.
Yeah. People are happy where they, especially like in the MSP space, people don't tend to say, I think I need a slightly better or more MSP. They tend
Mhm.
to, you only change when something bad happens. So trying to find prospects and potential customers tends to go to trying to find people on, when they're on the worst day of their life.
Right. 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 Which presents us with an interesting conundrum. And that is when most, maybe not you guys, but when most salespeople sell, they lead with all kinds of great reasons you should buy from me or buy from my company because we have a particular kind of service or product that will benefit you. If you'd like to be better, you should do this. You should do that because we sell and lead with features and benefits. But it's very easy for people that are right exactly where you say, Dave, in a comfort zone, in a status quo place. Same thing you said, Jonathan. It's very easy for them to say, you know what, things could be better. On the other hand, they could be a lot worse. It's not worth the time, the money, the fear, the unknown, all of that stuff. It's just not worth the battle to make that change. I think I'm going to stay where I am, and we as salespeople get very flustered, very frustrated because we know we've got the best product. We know we've got something that can change their life. But unless they want it, unless they have a desire to make that change, it's not going to happen.
But
But
Robert,
go ahead.
isn't it about value in, well, I don't know. I see when people don't buy from me,
Mhm.
it's either I have not been able to impart the value for the dollars they're being asked to pay,
Okay.
or they don't trust me. And I haven't gotten beyond that. And, I can think of a few recent cases where I got very far along with prospects and they decided against working with me. And I always try to find out why, but
Yeah.
I don't really get the answer because people want to be too nice to me or don't want an argument or whatever, but I'm not asking for those reasons. Um, but to me, it's that they haven't, or I've done a poor job of explaining the value, and or they just can't trust me.
So here's an issue, David. There are a lot of financial planners. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. There's a bunch out there.
Yeah, I think I run into them ever so often.
Yeah, and probably zero of them are saying stuff like, I'm good, but I'm not the best, right? I'm second best, I'm third best, I'm average. Nobody's saying that. What is everybody saying? I am the best.
Mm.
My company is the best.
I
Wherever,
actually don't say that.
but everybody else is
Yeah, yeah, okay,
because
that's true. Yeah.
because that question that I asked you before, if we had a bigger group, here's a lot of the answers you would have heard. A lot of the answers were we've got the best price, we've got the best product, we've got the best service, we've got the best product, price, service, delivery, whatever. It's all of that logistic stuff, and nobody is going to say, well, we're. And by the way, price is often expressed as value. Nobody's going to say we're third or fourth in terms of value, but our service is really good. We're second in terms of this. Everybody's saying we're the best at price, service, delivery, and so forth. And everybody that's successful these days has a great personality. Deirdre, you said something before about me. They get me. I hate to tell you this, but every company has a Deirdre. Every company's got somebody that is, of course, not you. I don't mean it that way, but they are pleasant, they can communicate, they are good at sales, and they're not that different. And I don't mean this to you personally. I don't want it to be a real hit on you, but in a short conversation, it's really hard to get somebody to think of you differently than every other salesperson that's ever talked with them, because those people are nice. They do have good products. They do have good service. They do have good everything. So the differentiators get really muddled and hard to figure out. And then when they don't buy from you, we get into this whole place of, well, why not me? What did I do? What did I say? What did I not say? What did maybe my literature should be slightly better, and or maybe my stories should be better. Did I establish the fact that we've been in business, 500 years, and we invented this, and we have these patents? Did I tell them that story? Did I tell them case studies? Did I do everything? But everybody, all of your competitors, they all have case studies. They all have history. They all have great people working for them. It's pretty competitive out there, and but there is a reason they did not buy from you. But just so I don't leave anybody out, Susanna, why don't they buy from you?
For me, what they typically want is the bare bones technical part of what I do. And so then they take that part and they give it to their $8 an hour VA. And I provide a lot of thinking, strategy, partnering type of support. They're like, no, I don't want to pay for that. So they want to pay for the tiniest amount that
Right.
they can get away with.
Okay. So you have a pretty stiff case of people using your information for free, basically free consulting. You're doing a lot of that.
Probably I'm not doing a lot as much, but I'm still doing more than I should.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. If everybody sounds the same, best price, best product, best quality, best service, everybody says the same thing, some version of that, then it's really hard for people, prospects, buyers, to tell the difference between you and everybody else. So they're left really, and by the way, throw on top of that they don't like salespeople in the whole first place. They think salespeople are pushy, aggressive, slimy. Think of Glengarry Glen Cross. Think of the Tin Men. Think of Herb Tarlick and WKRP in Cincinnati. I mean, these are despicable people, or funny but despicable. And you, not you personally, but we as salespeople are lumped in with all of that, and we're saying the same thing as everybody else. So there's really no big differentiator. So the only differentiator, the only thing that they can grab onto, is price. So the first thing they're going to say to you is, what does this cost? What does this look like? How much am I going to have to pay? So well, I threw this slide in. I thought maybe I could
I
generate
have one question
Go ahead.
or statement.
Shoot.
So buy from me could also be just the price, and then they just sort of disappear in thin air. We don't hear from them again.
Right. Yeah, that's a big thing. They're price shopping. They already ran into somebody like Susanna who gave them all of the skinny on everything. Now they're coming to you and saying, okay, what is this going to cost? And you're either a checkoff to validate the decision they already made, or if you have a better price, then they'll engage you. If you're close to where they were, probably not. So those people pretty much are price shopping, right? Now, whoops, that's not what I want. When you're selling into your marketplace, there are some parameters, right? If you think of this line right here as the high price, and this line is the low price, most of what you sell is going to be within this range, right? It's either good, and here's the medium. So you're going to sell some people on the high end of this range. You're going to sell some people on the low end of this range. It's doubtful that you're going to sell anybody way up here, because there's just too big of a gap between the normal high end of the range and where they are. Nor are you going to sell anybody way down here, because people get suspicious, and it's just another case of the gap being too big. So most of your sales fall within this accepted range, and the more commoditized your business is. So, for instance, if you're selling copper or some sort of commodity, and this range is going to be very small, but there still is a range. This range could be, in some cases, just pennies. In the case of consulting businesses, it could be thousands of dollars, but there is an acceptable range. If you're outside of that range, you don't really have a prayer. You want to be inside the range. Now, inside this range, you all have customers that are on the high end of that range, and you all have customers that are on the low end of that range. We would like, obviously, to sell everybody up here. So the question is, why do they buy? Why do people that pay you a little bit more than they could, why do they do that? And why are these people down here? So how do we get them to all be up here? David Heiss, you said something that was exactly right on. I'm just going to give you the answer to this question. People that buy from you that are in this range, people that buy from you in the whole first place, buy from you because they trust you. They don't buy from you because they like you. As a matter of fact, I put that in the next. People don't buy from you because they like you. That's a common misconception. Do they have to like you? Not really. Think about what you buy in life, in the other parts of your life. Did you ever buy anything from anybody that you didn't like? Pretty sure we can all raise our hands with that. People actually buy from you because they trust you. And developing that trust is kind of tricky. Most salespeople will do what I said before. They'll tell you how long they've been in business. They'll give you case studies. They'll give you pictures of the team. Here's my team. Here's my support team. They'll do all of that kind of stuff, which, by the way, everybody does. So it's not really a differentiator. It really doesn't develop trust. Trust takes time and history between us as human beings outside of sales. You're going to trust somebody, you have to get to know them. You have to see them under different circumstances. You have to experience a little bit of history with them. We don't have the luxury of that time or history in sales, because most of our conversations are somewhat short. Most of our sales cycles are pretty short. They can be long, but they're fairly short. So we have to develop trust in conversations in a very short period of time, just to even move it to the next sales call or the next conversation. So psychologists tell us that we trust people who think we understand them. We trust people who we think understand us. That's what we do. Even if they're just trying to understand us, we trust them, because when they're focused on us and trying to understand us, it shifts our suspicion away from them that they're just trying to sell us and just trying to get a higher commission and just trying to manipulate the whole situation in their favor. So we need to understand them, and they need to know that we understand them. So that's the critical part of selling, the part that everybody misses. You will not sell anybody, or at least on a regular basis, unless they get the feeling that you are understanding them or trying to understand them. So let me, as we say where I grew up, let me ask you this question. Susanna?
Yeah.
How can you understand people? What's the key thing you need to do to understand people?
Ask them a ton of questions.
You got to ask them a bunch of questions. And as importantly, you have to listen to them. You have to ask questions and you have to listen to them. Now, the thing is, well, I put it there, the only way we can understand somebody is by listening. And in order to listen, we must ask questions. The thing is, what kinds of questions should we ask? Dave Curley, what kind of questions should we ask?
Excuse me. It's questions that show you have a knowledge and understanding of their business.
Good. put a marker, put a pin in that. I want to come back to that. Deirdre, what kind of questions do you think should be asked?
Also more details about what they do and how they're successful. What
Okay. Oh,
other
that's good.
different
How they're successful.
areas are
Yeah.
growth. Yeah.
Yeah, that's critical. I like that one a lot. David Haas, what kind of questions do you ask? Should you ask?
I think open-ended questions that they can spend some time really imparting information to you.
Okay. Susanna?
I usually ask them like, well, what are you doing? Like, where do you want to go? What's your goal? Where do you want to get to? And what are you doing today to get you to that goal? Because I'm a very process-oriented person. So for me, it's always like the stepping stones. So I'm
That's
asking
really good.
their goals and then like, well, what are you doing to get there? What have you tried that didn't work? And so I kind of focus on the process.
That's really good. That is I'm driving in that direction, so hang on to that. Put a pin in that one as well. Jonathan, what about you? What kind of questions do you ask? How big is your checkbook? Do you have no?
I ask questions that I don't know the answers to. I'm
Okay.
learning something about them that I don't know. I often ask people, okay, why'd you take this meeting? Like, why are you spending the time with me? What are your needs? What are your interests? Why did you invest this, to get 30 minutes in my Calendly? I want to find out what they want to talk about.
Oh, that's perfect. And this is going to be, because of those answers, this is going to be easier than I thought it was going to be. So pretty damn good. Most people, and if we had a larger group here, here's what you would hear. Most people ask, as you did, Dave Curley, most people will ask questions about their current situation, about what they're doing right now. Basically, logistic questions. How big is your blah, blah, blah? How much money are you spending right now? What's your return on this? And all of these kinds of logistic questions to see if your service, your product, your asset will fit in with them. But the problem is um, everybody, all of your competition is asking the same logistic questions. It's easy to find out how much they're using right now, what they need to supplement what they're doing, where they're buying it from, how much they're paying. Everybody can ask those questions. Everybody does. So they're not a differentiator, and they don't give people the idea that you're trying to understand them because you're still not standing out. However, once you start to ask them questions like Jonathan just did, and like Susanna was talking about, and Deirdre to a point, once you start to figure out exactly what they're trying to either fix or achieve, then you're going to start to understand a little bit more about their emotions, a little bit more about what's really driving them. And if you recall, very early on in this call, I think it was Jonathan said something about, I mentioned to him that he's in an emotional sale. He's selling emotions and touching people's emotions. And that's what makes him different. And by the way, I was sold by Jonathan, and I can tell you that he knows what he's doing. He absolutely knows how to tap into the emotional part of the sale.
I try to make all my prospects cry, so.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm sure a lot of them do.
When they find out how much you're going to charge, they always cry.
Hysterical crying. Yes.
Not true, not true. So, so Dave Curley and Dave Haas, I think you both mentioned status quo and comfort zone earlier. Most of us exist in a comfort zone. That's where we're saying to and this is for all parts of our life, by the way, whether it's your health, your financial situation, your job, your career, your unfortunately relationships sometimes, or what you're buying and selling. We are in a comfort zone, and that's the place where we're saying, things could be better. On the other hand, they could be a lot worse. So I think I'm okay where I am right now. We kind of just hang. and we do what we've been doing. Deirdre, I know in a lot of cases you're replacing service. They're already getting their staffing from somebody else. You're trying to get in there and replace them. The question they're saying to themselves is, you know what? The ABC staffing company, they could be a lot better, a little bit more timely, slightly less expensive, but we know those people, and you know what? The devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. So yeah, you seem pretty good, Deirdre, but I don't know if it's worth the risk. See, in any part of our lives, we do actually every once in a while want to get outside of our comfort zone, and we always do. And loads of people are really good at doing that. We say to ourselves, you know what? I don't want to be here anymore. I want to change. And we stick our head outside of this circular safety zone, and we all of a sudden realize, in order for me to change, I'm going to have to spend money, and it's going to take some time. And you know what? It's not going to be easy. I have to do some hard work. What if I'm successful? Do I start a whole new standard of what I need to do? And fear of failure. What if I fail? That's going to suck, right? And I don't know how to do it. And you know, a really big one is the judgment of other people. If other people judge you for the change you're trying to make, that does not feel so good. And in a lot of cases, uh, you know, other people, for instance, David Haas, you know, you're going to get somebody that's going to perhaps use a financial planner for the first time, or perhaps they're switching planners. They're going to have to explain to somebody why they're doing that. And that person is probably going to come, it probably is in their life with a bunch of judgment about other stuff, and that's going to be hard to explain. Deirdre, they're going to have to explain their switching agencies to somebody in their organization, perhaps their boss, perhaps somebody that works for them that actually runs the people that are being staffed in. So there's a whole bunch of barriers that exist, and the thing is, people do not make a change in anything they're doing unless their status quo becomes unacceptable. Once things start to be serious here, they will then stick their head out and say, I know it's going to cost money, but you know what? I can't stay where I am. I got to do something. I'm going to have to take the time. I'm going to have to do the work to make this thing happen. So,
Robert, do you think there's also a path though for sort of aspirational selling?
I'm just getting to that. Absolutely.
Okay, sorry.
People will abandon their comfort zone because they want to fix what's broken, or they want to achieve something. And a lot of that is situational, obviously, but a lot of it is the way they see the world. So if I happen to be, just as a personal example, I happen to be more of an achievement person. I want to achieve something that will make me tackle all of this hard stuff, because my comfort zone and achievement, I don't have it, I don't feel good. That's the way I'm wired. Other people would look at the same situation and say, hey, you know what? This sucks. I got to change it. I'm in pain. Got to fix it. And they will do it. The thing is, nobody is going to buy from you. Let me switch slides here. Unless they have compelling reasons. Those compelling reasons, as we just said, Dave, is either relieve pain or achieve goals. And those reasons are both personal and business. So unless there's a compelling reason, they're not buying. So when I ask that question, why don't they buy from you? The real answer is they don't have two answers. They don't perhaps have a compelling enough reason. And number two, I never gave them the idea that I understood what those reasons are. Because the understanding we're shooting for is the emotional stuff Jonathan was talking about earlier. The emotional thing is, hey, look, I understand where you're coming from. I understand what you're trying to achieve. I understand what you're trying to fix. And I understand, or you must understand, that is also emotional. And that's the understanding that we're shooting for. If they think you get this, that is your biggest differentiator. And people, and this is the trust part, this is where the trust comes from. They see that you get this, they start to trust you, and people will pay a premium for trust. They will pay you for trust. So how do you establish it? You better know exactly what's going on in their head. So before I get into how
I
to
was gonna
do
say,
that,
how do you do
because
that? That's
you're right, I'm going to tell you. But before I do, let me ask this question. Does this make sense to you? Am I just like saying stuff that is so far out of the realm of possibility that, or does this actually kind of compute with you a little bit? So Deirdre, you already asked the question. I get that, and we're gonna get to that next slide. But
So are people selling both? They're saying someone has said to me once, "Oh, are you an aspirin or a vitamin? Are you relieving someone's pain or you are making a healthy person better or something? Is it improvement, achieving, or is it pain?" And they said it in a way like it's got to be one or the other.
Yeah, I don't get that.
yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I don't think it does. I think the answer is, and I still sell large corporations, and one of my initial questions, I'm going to show you all the questions on the next slide, so hang on. But one of my initial questions was always, hey, look, why am I here? Are you trying to fix something that's broken, or are you trying to achieve something that's frustrating to you? And they pretty much tell you up front. And you know what? The questions I'm going to give you don't matter. It doesn't matter if they're trying to fix it or achieve it. You got to know what it is, but it doesn't matter. The questions really don't change. All you're looking for is a complete understanding. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, just to kind of add on to that, that's the part about asking questions and listening, right? Is that
Yeah,
if you go in and saying, I'm going to solve a problem before you have that conversation, if you think you're the aspirin, you're going to miss the opportunity, because what they need is a vitamin.
that's exactly part of it. So if you came into my business, my world, Dave, and said to me, I can fix what's broken, my response would be, there's nothing broken. Right.
Right.
I do want to achieve something, and I'm shooting for that, but nothing's, I'm okay.
Right.
So that's part of the issue. But think of it this way: you go in as the aspirin, and you come in with a solution for a problem that you really don't understand. Don't understand the reason for it, the reason why it's happening. You don't understand what there is driving them personally to fix it. If you don't understand that, you're giving them a solution for a problem you don't understand. How does that build credibility? It's pretty hard to do that. So, what kinds of questions should we ask? Oh yeah, look at that. What kinds of questions should we ask? Um, these questions on the left-hand box are driving questions. The questions on the right-hand side are what I call trigger questions. They are what you just mentioned, Dave, open-ended, non-specific questions that generate conversation. So what I like to do is ask the questions on the left-hand side and fill in, where necessary, the trigger questions on the right-hand side. So kind of what I just said a minute ago, what do you need to fix, or what do you need to achieve? And by the way, what's not on here is you generally want permission to ask questions first. So in the beginning of the sales call, it's a good idea to say, hey, is it okay if I ask you some questions, trying to understand the world from your perspective, and trying to understand you. 100% of the time, they're going to say, yeah. Then you say, what are you trying to fix? What are you trying to achieve? Why am I here? Is another one. Why did you call me? Why did you accept my thing? It's that what do you need to fix kinds of a question. And whatever they say, you just fill in with something from the right-hand side. Well, that's interesting. Tell me more. Can you be a little bit more specific about that? Can you help me understand that? That sounds important. How come? So get them to talk. When you ask those questions, the trigger questions, by the way, they will talk. We are wired as human beings to fill in those blanks. It's just, no matter how introverted you are, you're going to get something from them. So how long have you had that problem or objective? How long have you been working on this? And this is the frustrating part, right? You want them to be in pain, whether they're trying to achieve something or they're actually in pain. You want them to be in pain, ask them how long they've had that. Because they're going to say something like, hey, oh my God, now that I think about it, it's like 2 years. I've been working on this thing for 2 years. How could that be? You know, it drives them insane. And then you say to them, well, you must have done something to try to fix this or achieve it. So what have you done so far to do that? Yeah, well, we tried this, this, and this, and this. And then you whack them right over the head, like with a baseball bat. How come that hasn't worked? Right? And you know, the answers you get in that in that situation are, well, because I have idiots working for me, or because I couldn't figure it out, or because the stars are aligned against me, or because I don't, you know, whatever. You're going to get some amount of pain, and you keep saying to them, "Tell me more. Be more specific. Give me an example." And how has this been affecting others in your company, or how has it been affecting your company? They will say, "Oh yeah, you know, blah blah blah." And you get that from them, and then what do you think this is costing you? And this is a big question. And Susanna, if you're not asking this question on every single conversation, you're really missing it, because that's gonna drive a stake through their heart in the
Yeah,
middle of that circle.
that's great.
Okay.
Writing it down.
And again, you're filling in with those questions on the right hand side. So this is meant to be a discovery conversation. And you'll notice with these questions, you're not asking them how many of the, I mean, you can and should ask them the logistics part that kind of is filtered in, but you're really not concentrating on how big is your organization, how many people do you have, how many, you know, all that logistics stuff. That will come. But right now, you're just trying to figure out what is driving them. This is the understanding you're shooting for. Okay. Questions or comments? Shoot.
Robert.
Dave.
So once you have this, I
Yeah.
mean, have the client telling you all this information and you've asked your probing questions as well.
Yeah.
What do you do next?
Okay.
Do you
You do that.
well, what I was driving at is, you know, when I'm talking to somebody, they usually do tell me all these things. And then, of course, what I want to do is tell them all of how I can help. But I'm
Yeah.
not sure
Don't
if
do
that's
that yet.
really the right thing to do.
Too early. Too early.
Okay. Okay. All
Too
right.
early. Whoops.
That's what I was
You're
asking.
there, you ask these questions, and then when you think you've had enough, you summarize it for them. You say to them, okay, let me get this straight. What you're telling me is, and feed it back to them, pain, 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 or achieve, achieve, achieve. Do I have that right? They say, sure, if you did a good job doing that, right? And then you say, okay, this is your next question, and this is the hidden close. Is what you just told me that you just summarized compelling enough for you to take action? You know, is this a must do, or would be nice if we did? And you know, for this to be a hidden close, they have to say, no, man, I got to do something. I got to do something. So then you say to them, okay, look, this is what we do. We can help you. We can fix this. And that's all at this point you have to say. No solution yet. None. You just say to them, okay, this is what we do. However, a couple of things we need to talk about, a couple of obstacles, other stakeholders, right? In a lot of your cases, there are other people involved that contribute to the decision, right? You would like to know who they are, what they actually do, why would they want to do this? Why would they push back on this? And really critically, when they push back, how will you, prospect, or how should we, prospect and me together, handle that pushback? Let them tell you how to sell the balance of their company. It makes sense to everybody? This is a little, you could look at this as a little bit pushy, but if you don't do this, you're going to get blindsided by some stakeholder coming out of the woodwork at the last second and saying, we're paying them for what? Are you crazy?
Is this the time to get that other, to have them get other stakeholders involved?
Yes, it would be. You would, at this point, either set up a conversation with
Who
those
else
other
do I need to?
stakeholders or get introduced or bring them into the second meeting or something like that after you know this information. The other obstacle is financial, obviously. This logic I'm giving you here works 100% of the time. You will get their budget. It may not be the budget you want, but you're going to get a budget. So remember, we're still working on that pain or achievement stuff that they're trying to get. So what you're going to say to them is, what are you comfortable investing to fix this thing or to achieve it? Right? Remember, they told you the pain. They said it's compelling. We got to take action. And now you're saying, and these other stakeholders are on board. Okay, what are you comfortable investing to fix or achieve this? And they will not give you an answer to that question. There will be no answer. They will say, I don't know what it costs. I'm not telling you. You know, you're going to get some sort of pushback, which is expected. Here's the part that always works. You say to them, perhaps I can help you. Look, based on my experience, based on customers or clients or prospects just like you, it's generally going to be between X and Y. Are you comfortable in that range? Now you got to give them a range. You got to give them the right range. You can't say $0 to $1 million. You can't say, you know, $5,000 to $5,005. It's got to be like a legitimate range. So you have to know a little bit about what you're talking about. And they, most of the time, if you give them a legitimate range, they're going to say, yeah, I'm comfortable in that range. Now you have something with, you know, a place within which to work. If they say no, well, they're not telling you they want to be more than Y. They're telling you they want to be less than X. And you should say, that is a problem. And by the way, that's not your problem. That's their problem. Because if they really do want to achieve it or fix it, they're going to have to pay something. And you just gave them a legitimate range. If they want to be outside of that range, they're the one with the problem. They're not going to get it done, or they're going to get a half-assed job done. So that's their problem. Now, what I always do is say, hey, that's a problem. And then I shut up. I don't say a word. And I let an uncomfortable silence build. And eventually they say, why is that a problem? And I never even ever answer that question. I then ask them, well, where do you think you would be comfortable? 100% of the time, if you've had to go this route, they will give you an answer. And now you have what they're comfortable spending. Now, you may not be able to do business with them at that number, and you might have to say, can't do it. You might have to say, let me refer you to a competitor that I don't like because I think you'd work better with them. You might have to say something like that. Or you might be able to make some adjustments. You may be able to pull some pieces out and do it, but you will know what it would cost. So at that point, you're probably saying to yourself, well, now what do I do?
Robert, just one
Now
thing.
you can present your solution.
One thing on the last slide that I really liked, and
Yeah,
what are you comfortable investing?
yeah,
That word I think is super important. Not
it is.
get away from the word spending, get away from the word budget. Talk
Right.
about what they're going to invest, because as a certified financial planner would know, investments have a return. Right? So you don't want to talk about what, especially when you're coming from, you know, marketing or IT, which can often be seen and recruiting, which can often be seen as cost centers, right? Like places that have a spend with no return.
Mm-hmm.
Position yourself. You're going to invest in making this better, which has a return. You're going to be more efficient. You're going to be your brand is going to be better known. I'm going to fill roles quicker and more efficiently, so your operation keeps moving at the pace you need it to move to achieve all the other goals you have and all the other requirements you have, investing is investing versus spending is a game changer when you start putting it that way.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
it's interesting. I I have a set of prices for the services that I provide,
Mhm.
and I don't negotiate. I never negotiate. If they don't want to pay for what I do, then they can go find somebody else. Um, and but I never ask them, what do you want to spend beforehand? Should I still?
I would personally, I would do that.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
what's going to happen with you quite often, and I didn't put this down there, but I find this happens with particularly when people start shopping around and know what the fees are. They're going to say, "What's your fee?" And you can push back on that and say, "Well, that depends on a lot of things. Can I ask you a couple of questions?" If they ask you a second time, well, look, just tell me what your fee is. Deirdre, you're going to get that when people are price shopping. Then just tell them, right? My fee is $5,000 for a financial plan. And then,
I have a price list.
oh,
I have
whatever, you can give them the price list.
I have a
But
written out price list.
here's
So,
the move. Here's the move. Price list is fine. Don't give it to them at that point. You
mhm.
just say to them, look, financial plan costs $5,000. Are we still talking?
Yeah.
Right? And most of the time they say, okay, yeah, let's keep talking. If they
Mhm.
say, no, we're not talking, well, then you know that their pain is not big enough because you gave them a legitimate price, right? You know
Right.
their pain is not big enough to spend it. They're not a customer. Then you can go back and say, look, why did you come in here in the first place? Tell me what you're trying to fix, and you're back into that conversation.
Of course, many people, they want to know the price up front,
That's right.
even
So
before the rest of the
we used to get
conversation.
those. I used to get those calls all the time, and the product we were selling that they were calling about was probably about in those years was about a $7,000 price tag, and they would call up and say, what is this President's Club thing cost? And I would say, well, that depends on a lot of things. I don't really know anything about your business, or what you need, so perhaps I can ask you some questions. And 70% of the time they say, sure, and I had a conversation. 25% of the time they would say, just tell me what it costs. And I would say $7,000. Any reason for us to keep talking? And most of the time they said okay, but a lot of time they say no, no, we don't need to talk.
Hmm.
Okay, we're done. Who cares? Move on.
Right.
They were never a customer.
Yeah, that was why waste our time.
Right. And David, your point, and you could easily say, listen, I have a published price list I'm happy to share with you, but let me help guide you. Let's get a little further into this conversation so I can give you some guidance on where you fall in that.
Mhm.
Right. Because
Yeah, and I have to do that because, like, when I charge for financial planning as opposed to investment management, I charge based on a complexity matrix, and they have to fall someplace within the matrix.
Right, right, exactly. Not everybody is qualified to be a customer of yours.
Yeah.
Some people should not be customers, and you don't want them to be customers. So unless they have pain or achievement needs, unless they're willing to talk to the other stakeholders, and unless they're willing to fork over some money, they're not going to be a customer. And one other thing I want to point out, and we're going to run out of time in a minute. This is really, really important. You know, your presentation is at the end. We have taken that product information, all that great stuff you can do for them, and you give it to them at the end of this discovery conversation, because you want your presentation, your proposal, your whatever, however you talk about your service and product, you want it to be customized for what they're trying to either fix or achieve, customized to take into account the needs, wants, desires of the other stakeholders, customized to fit within a budget that they're comfortable, an investment that they're comfortable making. So your presentation takes into account all of that stuff and comes at the end of that. That's when you can say to them, now that I understand your situation, let me tell you how I think we can help you. But it's at the end of the information gathering thing. If you lead with information, you lead with features and benefits, you'll never get to the customized place. And you're going to be just like everybody else. So we're out of time in a minute. I want to show you one other thing. But before we do, what's your biggest lesson learned from today? What's the one takeaway that you think you should incorporate into your practice of selling, like immediately? Deirdre, you got something that stood out for you?
So this process is, I think, is kind of what I'm doing already, but I think that really trying to ask them about a budget has been challenging. I was just going to make a comment about that because sometimes they'll put me against the wall to say, well, just give me your price, or, and then you give them a price and they don't want to answer you. So, then crickets and the phone goes silent.
Yeah. So
Or,
try this, Deirdre. Try this. If ask them if they already have a supplier, an agency like yours. If they do, think to yourself, they're asking about price because there's some dissatisfaction with their current situation, right? And then say that to them. When people ask me about price and they have an incumbent, it's usually because something that the incumbent is doing or not doing is bothering them and they think they're paying too much. Is that the case with you?
Okay.
And you get a different answer. This is recorded, by the way, so you can go back and get that. Dave, lesson learned.
Yeah, I think it's similar to Deirdre. A lot of this is what I've been putting into practice for a while. I think I did want to. I'll toss out one more thing that sort of summarizes a little bit of what you put out there. At an old mentor who used to say, prescription without examination is malpractice.
That's right. That's correct.
And it's the same thing with sales, right? If you're coming in and leading with your presentation, if you're talking about what's important to you at the beginning of the call, you're probably not going to keep their attention long enough to find out what's important to them.
You may not even be there for the balance of the meeting. In that case, it's true. Okay, David Heiss, how about you?
For me, I do, of course, ask a lot of questions. I want the client or prospect to present information about why they came to me and what problems they're trying to solve. But some of those, probing questions about, how much pain are they in and how much do they think this will cost, or are willing to pay, are questions that I don't ask. And those may be very good because sometimes we get to the end and or even in the beginning and they're asking, how much is this going to cost? And it's they're bargaining with me before we've talked about value.
Okay, let me give you something real fast for that because we're out of time. If they ask you up front, what is this going to cost at the inappropriate time, you always 100% of the time say, not sure yet. Even if you have a published price thing, not sure yet. Let me ask you some more questions so I can understand your situation. And bam, you're right back into it.
Yeah.
Even with your published price list, don't give it to them yet.
Okay. That's hard for me because I'm very honest and I like to answer people's questions.
Yeah, I know. You gotta go to therapy and undo that.
but David, it's also not a question of honesty. It's a question of needing to know more to provide the best service you can.
Yes.
It's a question of malpractice, really.
Yeah. I've always thought we're not there yet. We're not at pricing yet. We're still figuring out if we can help.
You're on page 10. I'm on page 2. That's exactly right, Dave Curley. I'm not even sure I can help you yet. Let me ask you some more questions.
Okay.
Okay, Susanna.
I took a lot of notes and I wrote down, is this compelling enough to take action? I thought that's a question I don't ask.
Okay, and that's a good one. That's the most powerful one.
It is the most powerful one.
Okay, good. Jonathan.
To be more focused and finding out if people are ready to change their behavior and what they want to change.
Right, yeah. Or is it compelling enough for them to take action? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, we're out of time, so I just want to show you one more thing. Just because you're all good people, if you would like a complimentary 30-minute coaching session, I'm happy to do that with you. I'm going to put this link in the chat right now, and stop sharing. Chat. And so if you want to schedule 30 minutes with me, I'm happy to debrief you on any kind of whoops, that's the wrong thing. I'm befuddled. I thought I had that copied. All right, Jonathan, if I give you the link, can you get it out to these guys?
Sure.
All right, I'll do that. I screwed that up. I thought I had everything figured out. I guess not. Anyway, if you would like to spend 30 minutes with me, and which would typically bleed over into a little bit more debriefing a particular situation, what do I do next on this call or something like that, happy to help you. And I actually love doing that. So we'll get you the link and just schedule something on my calendar, and we'll do that.
Do you have time for one more brief question?
I sure do.
Okay, so I have lots of calls with prospects that go like this. This is wonderful. You sound like, whatever, you're sliced bread. You're whatever. You're the best thing I've ever heard. Sign me up. Good. I want to go to a group first. Okay, good. Here are the groups coming up. Which one can you commit to going? It's Monday, Tuesday. Whoa, whoa. They say I'm going to go, and then nothing. And then they all of a sudden they're back to square one. Everything they said was, I don't know, it was not,
So
it
say this.
implies that it wasn't sincere.
Right. So say this to them. Happy to have you come to see the group. That's the way we do things. The way it works, however, is we must make an appointment right now for when the group is over for me and you to talk to bring this to some sort of closure. You're either going to do it or don't do it. In other words, make an appointment with them before you let them go to the group to discuss it afterwards so they don't disappear and you can never get a hold of them again.
I like that a lot.
And then they don't show up at the group.
Well, that's another thing.
And
Well,
so-
at that case, what you can do, Jonathan, is say, look, probably not going to happen with you. But once in a while, people say they're going to be at the group and then don't show up. If that happens, what should I do?
That's good. Yeah.
Hey, Jonathan.
Yeah.
I do a lot of event planning stuff where people sign up for, events. And I think free events are problematic. If you get 50%, you're really good. So if there's any way you can actually charge and say it can be a nominal amount, people hate to lose something. Charge $5 or $10 and say, yes, I'd love to have you come to the group, but we need to defray our expenses. So we're going to charge you $5, $10, and do it through Eventbrite or however you set up a system. You will not get no shows.
Mhm. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
what?
Oh, by the way, just I put that link is now in
Thanks.
chat.
We
Okay.
found it.
Yeah, it's there in the chat.
you will get fewer people coming, but the
They're
people who say they're going to come will come.
And one of the, and I hear it a little bit from you, David, and it's when we talk about money, it always makes the conversation a little bit more awkward, but we as on the selling end have to break through that barrier immediately. If we are happy to say, look, I can't answer that question now because I don't know enough to give you a price. But once you do, and to your point, you have a published price list and you don't negotiate, I love that. But there's got to be a monetary. You're providing a service in being able to say this is what it costs, and this is if as long as you're not way out of bounds with what that the chart with the dollar signs on it, have that conversation and meet don't be afraid to talk about what you're going to charge people to be part of something. That's if they don't have the budget, If they don't have the willingness to invest, they're not a customer.
True, true. Jonathan, one other thing you can try is a questionnaire when they want to come see a group. Send them something to fill out before they come. Because to David Haas's thing, we used to do a lot of these free events also, and we found that if we had them fill out a piece of just a form that said, "These are my problems. I hope to discover these things," pain, 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 achieve, achieve, achieve. There's a little bit more emotional buy-in because they took the time to fill that out, send it in. It drives the attendance rate up.
Yeah. So we find that people do come to our groups. We have people that do show up at our groups, but then they think, we talk about their pain and what we do and
Yeah.
self-development, and they come to the groups and they think that was really nice. It was a worthwhile 90 minutes. I met some great people. Conversations were great. So what? Why should I pay for it?
Yeah. Not enough pain. It's just not there, or you didn't uncover it. But try the appointment thing. Try making an appointment with them ahead of time.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Thanks,
Anything
Bob.
else?
Thank
This is
you.
great. Thanks, Bob.
That was awesome, Bob.
Yes, thanks so much.
Well, thank you. And I'm glad it was a small group and allowed us to kind of get into some stuff. So
Okay. Thanks so
very
much.
cool.
All right, thank you.
See you guys.